Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture, and today I'm going to tell you about the insane stipulation that WWE apparently want to give Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. I'm going to tell you why Vince McMahon changed his mind on people wearing masks at WWE shows. Got a big announcement from Sarah Logan coming later in the day, and as well as all that, Brian Pillman Jr., what's going on with him? Got all the latest on his future, including this week's AEW match.
Plus some surprising news about Rey Mysterio, intriguing developments about CM Punk's negotiations with AEW, and Extreme Rules is changing again. This is the news.
All right, let's kick things off with Seth the Chef Rollins versus Rey the Hey Mysterio.
Nice.
Good. So they're probably going to have a match at Extreme Rules, right? That's probably on the cards. They've been building it solidly. Rey's been doing stuff from home. The eyeball stuff, all of these things, Dominic's there, it's all been going on. Dave Meltzer has come through with a report on a potential stipulation for this match, and it's kind of presented in a way that WWE were considering it, but have maybe abandoned it now. It doesn't involve Dominic or, his grown son Michael Hamflet, because they look a lot alike. Walter something gimmicks, I don't know. The gimmick match is in fact an eye for an eye match. Right? Okay, so you think that could mean anything in particularly in this PG realm. However, it's the literal translation of that. Apparently, this stipulation would have meant that the winner would have had to take the other person's eye. Now, presumably they wouldn't be doing Simon Phoenix and Demolition Man and just gouging it out with a little stabby thing. Presumably it would be something similar to the stunt the other week when Seth put Rey's eye on the edge of the steps and kind of damaged it that way. But still, this is a crazy stipulation for a PG company. Can you imagine if they actually gimmicked gouging an eyeball out and one of them was just a pirate going forward? What the hell is this? Why? Why does this exist? I don't know.
When I came in this morning and saw crazy stipulation for the match, I thought, I wonder what it's going to be. Maybe Dominic on a pole, or just rerunning the cold custody of Dominic bollocks they did. Not bollocks, I enjoyed it really, to be honest, with Eddie and Rey. But an eye for an eye? Are you serious? Like you say, I pictured the bit in Kill Bill when she's just ew. It's completely within reason when it comes to WWE in the past few months. We're going to get to what Extreme Rules is being called now in due course, and yeah, it fits, but how they would execute this, like you say, Andy, and the fact that going forward, presumably forever, this wrestler would have to be a pirate.
Just what? It's unbelievable, this stuff. It's unbelievable. Now, again, like I said, the way this is presented and reported suggests that WWE were considering this, but have since changed their mind. Thank God for that, although I look forward to tonight's episode of Raw when the stipulation is formally announced and Seth has the very pen or whatever that he's going to use to pluck that little peeper out of Rey's skull. Wrestling in 2020 is really stupid, is the conclusion.
If they went for that, Andy, who would your money be on? Would it be on the Master of the 619 or the Architect, Seth Rollins?
Let's move on.
Let's talk a little bit more about Rey Mysterio. He's technically working for WWE as a free agent at the moment. Further developments on this reported by Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer, Figure 4 Online. Apparently his contract, which was signed back in September 18, expired. He's just working without a contract, free agent right now, mainly due to WWE's policy of not signing, big contracts during the ongoing Global Bastard. Although they did do that with Drew Gulak, so I sense if push came to shove and maybe someone else was sniffing around Rey, they would try and lock him down. But I suppose this is more, Andy, of a gentleman's agreement between the two parties.
Seems to be that way. Yeah, we've heard kind of a few reports on his future over the past few months. Stuff about them not necessarily offering big money contracts at the moment, but then Drew Gulak's deal expired and he came back in, although, with all due respect to Drew Gulak, he's wonderful. He's not going to be earning the same money as a Rey Mysterio. I imagine it's probably just a cheeky little handshake agreement. Rey has always struck me as a very professional man. Going to honor stuff, not going to leave in the middle of a storyline, going to stay there, do his work. Filmed content from home last week. yeah, I imagine he'll re-up with the promotion. I can't really see Rey Mysterio going elsewhere, personally.
Plus, with his son Dominic obviously training there, yeah, he doesn't want to burn any bridges with him. I think it could be a major thing, and I sense if it was another wrestler, you might think, hello, there's a real opportunity here for, let's say, for example, AEW to nick them and have them on Dynamite the next week or whatever, or even if it's a tape show, do the whole Rick Rude sort of thing. But I sense that's probably not going to happen, and Rey is effectively, signed to the WWE, but on a verbal contract, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. He's probably not going to break that either. Is the Dominic factor is a huge thing and all of that. Big things expected of him in the future.
Although, as Judge Judy says, a verbal contract isn't worth the paper it's written on. So
there you go, baby. That's because there is no paper. Just explaining your jokes. That's my new role. Make everything 100% less funny. Let's talk about masks at WWE tapings. So this happened last week. It was revealed the masks are now compulsory at WWE tapings. They've got a full thing there. If you don't wear one, you get fined $500 for your first offense, $1,000 for your second. If you're in the crowd or backstage, you're wearing a goddamn mask, pal, because they have finally dragged their methods of handling the ongoing global bastard out of the Paleozoic era. Probably didn't pronounce that right, but we've got a new report from Fightful here, Fightful Select, talking about how this happened, why it came to pass. It was in the aftermath of the tens of people testing positive, the Adam Pearces, the Renee Youngs, the Kayla Braxtons, the Jamie Nobles. Apparently an unnamed WWE wrestler went up to Vince McMahon and said, hey, not too sure these measures are enough, pal. Not too sure they're being followed particularly well either. That may have been the catalyst for the whole change. Soon after, it's noted that Vince brought the new policy into play, making the masks a thing. There's also an interesting note here on Vince at these tapings. He's not in Gorilla all the time where you'd expect him to be pulling strings and pushing buttons and doing stuff. He's actually spending most of the tapings in his office, which is smart because he's 74 years old. And this thing is deadly. So there you go. Although he does make the odd trip over to Gorilla, presumably just to oversee things, but smart for him to isolate away from all this. You know, you can make the argument that he shouldn't even be in the buildings in the first place. I digress. Masks, permanent, good. This is the reason. The
final horse crosses the finishing line. About bloody time. Yeah. Although I give it about 2 weeks till Vince decides we're going to have a mask versus mask match in the crowd. That's what we're going to do now. Yeah, exactly. I think I think a lot of people would probably put money on this, that wrestler pressure, specifically one would assume higher up wrestlers, the likes of, say, Randy Orton, not that we're suggesting it's him, but, you know, just to speculate, if people like that or Big Show or, you know, more well-respected and people who've got the ability to go and kind of have a little word with Vince McMahon about this, that was always going to be the sort of catalyst for change within WWE. Great to hear that they've finally adopted that policy. Good to hear that Vince is not a Gorilla. And I sense if you work at Gorilla, it's probably fantastic news. If you're ever getting a bit of a bollocking and he's just like on a Zoom call, you just be like, oh, sorry, you're breaking up, Vince. I can't. Hello. So
nice little break. Yeah, take your earphone out, man. You can relax for a little while, but yeah.
And he just storms down. Oh, bollocks. Here he comes.
Here he comes. He's not got a mask on, has he?
Right, let's give you an update on CM Punk and his relationship with AEW. Conan provided new details on the negotiations that went down on his Keeping It 100 podcast, which is genuinely one of the best podcasts out there that isn't called the WhatCulture Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Conan said he talked to AEW soon after they'd been speaking with CM Punk, and those talks, as you may remember, all fell apart. Apparently, they were keen to work with CM Punk until he asked for, no surprises here, quote, an astronomical amount of money, which of course led to all the talks falling apart. Now, the intriguing development, of course, here is the fact that backstage is no longer a thing, although people are saying it might come back for big events, so maybe it might come back for SummerSlam, although some people are arguing, nope, that's it, it's dead in the water. Conan talks about the fact that he didn't think the deal was completely dead. It could come back with Punk working with the likes of Jericho or Cody or who knows. Feel free to speculate who else he could come back and work with or who you'd like to see him work with. But he would need to be, you know, asking for slightly less than Scrooge McDuck amounts of money, Andy.
Yeah, he's going to need to lower his demands a little bit by the sounds of things. But I kind of see CM Punk's perspective here. Like, if I was him, and I was effectively made for life financially and know that I don't have to put myself through this crazy physical thing that I hated towards the end, I too would be like, hey man, if you want me, you're gonna have to pay top dollar, whether he'd be worth that or not, in terms of like ratings and interest levels and so forth. I would do the exact same thing. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go and do that sport that made me miserable for like 10th my market value just because you guys seem like good guys. It is what it is. You can debate whether or not CM Punk going to AEW would be a good idea till the cows come home. We'll be talking about it forever, though, because it's CM Punk and he comes up all the goddamn time. So here we are.
We did a podcast over the weekend, myself and Hamlet, about wrestlers need to have one more match after Sting sort of hinted at it last week. And yeah, Punk is still a name that people love to talk about. I speculated that he was going to return to a wrestling ring in 2020, and I would have been right had this ongoing global bastard not happened. It would have happened. So still 100% on my predictions.
No pasty bets made yet, unless it's gone down after dark. Sarah Logan left WWE April 15th, Black Wednesday, mass releases. She was one of the people let go, not furloughed. There was talk in the aftermath that she might come back to the company because her name was still being brought up on TV, but that never came to pass. Now it looks like she's going to make a big announcement on her future today. She posted the following to Instagram yesterday. Everyone has been asking what's next in my life, and I'm here to tell you I have a huge announcement tomorrow. So today, I'll let you know when the Wild and Free TV episode drops. That's the YouTube channel that she currently runs with her husband, Eric of the Viking Raiders in WWE. So this could be a lot of things. Could be mixed martial arts, which she has teased before. She said she's been training, all that stuff. Could be that they're going to do the YouTube thing full time, which she has also mentioned. Could just be that she's retiring from wrestling, like a big break from that has been speculated and suggested as well. Could be anything either way. It looks like something considerable is going to be announced for her future.
Right, I'm astonished that we need to say this, Andy, but I'm going to say it anyway off the back of Renee Young's announcement last week, right? I get it. Some people thought that maybe she was going to announce Talking Smack was back or some other big news. In the end, she announced she was releasing a cookery book, I do believe, right? Just because it's not big news to you, it can still be big news for someone else. Just don't be a dickhead who goes on and says, well, this isn't wrestling. Boo! I got my hopes up. I thought you were going to announce that, WrestleMania was going to be done again this year with all the crowds and CM Punk and Hulk Hogan. Just don't do it. We all do it. I'm guilty of doing it with like fantasy booking matches. But if you fantasy book what someone else's announcement is and then it doesn't match up to it, that doesn't mean you need to be horrible to them online. Be happy for them. She's clearly excited about this announcement, which is big in her world. So even if it is good news, I remembered to take the recycling out this week. Just be nice.
Yeah.
I don't realise quite how people have to be told this, but still, I'm going to reiterate it.
Yeah, don't be a dick. It's like the quintessential piece of advice for life. Just don't be an asshole. If I released a cookery book, I would be absolutely thrilled to be in that position. And I would block anyone who sent me any bollocks about it. Renee Young is nicer than me, folks, so that's why that doesn't happen. Don't be a dick, is what we're trying to say. Just be good. Be good. Be good. It's not difficult.
Andy Murray cooking with Buckfast is going to be out in time for Christmas, by the way.
Don't give me ideas, brother.
Every recipe is just bollocks to it, order a takeaway, and drink the bookie!
Yeah, that's it. Everything ends in a battered sausage and chips with a bottle of Bucky. Life.
Speaking of battered, let's talk about the concept behind Extreme Rules. Yeah, it's changed again. It was being called Extreme Rules, the horror show, and clearly, thankfully, smarter minds have prevailed here at WWE, where they thought, let's judge the room. Let's see what's going on in the world. We cannot call it Extreme Rules, the horror show. So it's going to be called the Horror Show at Extreme Rules instead. They're just bloody clueless, aren't they? Yeah, I get it. It's all being built around that swamped match between Bray Wyatt and Universal Champion Braun Strowman. I mean, Wyatt isn't being led by Sasha versus Asuka, which is clearly going to be the best match, I don't know. But even so, the horror show at Extreme Rules. In this global climate. Can't wait, Andy.
Maybe should have gotten rid of that tagline, brothers and sisters. Look, I get it. It's all about the wacky swamp match and all this stuff. But Read the room. Read the room. Read the room. It's not difficult. Just be a little bit more sensitive to what's going on. It's not about being offended and upset and all this. It's just about not being dicks. And that's what you are being when you call your show The Horror Show when all this stuff is going on.
In summary, as Andy said, read the room and watch the room. You're tearing me apart, Lisa! Oh, hi, Mark.
But don't watch The Disaster Artist because you will hate the room after watching that. Let's talk Brian Pillman Jr. He's wrestling for AEW this week. He's going to be on Dark. He's facing the man with the black glove, Shawn Spears, on this week's episode of Dark, which is an interesting development because he was on camera on last week's episode of Dynamite. We covered that on the video. He was in the crowd, but the announcers didn't mention him. It was an interesting situation because he is under MLW contract, but it now emerges that he's actually trying to get deleted and released from AEW. I'm going to mispronounce this name. I'm terribly sorry, but indie wrestler Saif Al-Sabah, who was recently released from AEW himself, from MLW, I'm a mess. Published a DM from Brian Pillman Jr. It's basically like, hey, I asked for my release, I didn't get it, but you got yours, what should I do? So, appears to me that Brian Pillman Jr. is maybe trying to get signed by AEW. Be interesting to see what he does nonetheless on Dark this week. He's a very talented guy. Unfinished product for sure, but lots of raw. I mean, look at who his dad is, man. There's a very high ceiling for this guy. Shawn Spears is an interesting opponent. He's going to lose that match because Shawn Spears is the guy they're building up at the moment. But it should be fun, should be enjoyable. The black glove gimmick is awesome that Shawn Spears has got going on at the moment. And hopefully Brian Pillman Jr. can show some cool stuff on this week's episode of Dark.
Yeah, I think this has been booked really well, especially having someone like Shawn Spears go over him because it's going to draw some eyes to Dark and then give Shawn Spears further exposure for this wonderful reinvention of the character he's got. And according to my sources, Andy, we very rarely get this on the news, Billy is going to actually be in Brian's corner. Oh, that's wow. Right. Pillman's got a gun.
Oh God, you're on fire today, man. You had a good weekend or something.
Oh yes. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Saya505. He says, "Hello, boys. Quick question for you. Orton is the legend killer, right? Well, he's obviously a future Hall of Famer / legend himself. So, who's going to get the push and kill the legend killer?"
Interesting question. I think that the obvious answer is Edge, right? I think that Orton going through just loads of people in a row, taking all these people out until Edge comes back, whenever the heck that's going to be for a long period of time, is probably the most compelling story, although there are difficulties there because he's probably going to have to run into Drew McIntyre at some point, and it's like, do you want Edge versus Orton 8 months from now to be a title program? There's questions to ask. I think a lot of people would fantasy book a younger wrestler into this spot as well. Maybe like someone who's on the come up, a young babyface, maybe an Apollo Crews. He's had a nice little push on Raw recently and stuff. But if I'm being honest and if I'm to answer truthfully, I think it'll be Edge.
Yes, I sense it's going to be Edge or Drew McIntyre who's going to defeat him whilst he's on this wild run that he's having. But like you say, it would be nice to see like a Ricochet, who of course had that 365 episode come out over the weekend. Or, I don't know, there's a bit of me that can see, it's not a babyface, but like an Austin Theory really getting a bit of a rocket struck to his back after defeating Randy Orton and sort of, saying, look, I'm young, chiseled, and just mint at wrestling like you were. You're a bit old now, so I'm going to kick you in the head, you prick.
So in conclusion, Big Show.
Yeah, exactly. Second question today comes from Edward Shiraz Hands, who says, "Hi gents, hope you're doing well. Which stable, past or present, would you like to see return? Also, why is that stable 3MB?"
Yeah, I mean, 3MB would be a bit of a riot. But, the timeline of that stable, Heath Slater is due to return to WWE in about 3 years and become WWE champion. That's how it works. That's a tough question. And you did tell me this before we went on air, and I've just completely failed to think of anything.
I mean, the obvious one is the Brood for you.
Oh yeah, the Brood. I mean, if you can get the Brood back, I'm going to be tuning in. I mean, I'm going to be tuning in every single week because that's my goddamn job. But I'll be double tuning in. I'll watch the episode twice. Take that, Mr. Nielsen, and your silly ratings. Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I almost swore. I'll just go for the Brood because I'm not very creative this morning.
It's either that, the oddities for our lovely editor Ben Roy Turner, or for me, and I realise this doesn't work due to the sad passing of Grandmaster Sexay, but one more go round, please, with Too Cool. Obviously, we can't have Grandmaster Sexay. It's a real shame that, but I just feel as a nice homage to him, even just Scotty and Rikishi.
Yeah.
Phil and I are going to keep asking for this until it happens, because Scotty's still in great shape, and Rikishi's was Rikishi doing stuff in MLW, or I made that up in my head? He's doing something somewhere.
He's present. Rikishi is present. An idea, maybe like an Evolution reunion might be cool. I don't need Ric Flair working tapings at this time because of his age and his health, but Randy Orton, I know it might be a bit similar to Legacy, but you could get Triple H involved. You could get an Austin Theory in there. Might work.
That's what you need. Legacy to come back.
Oh, get all of the great Legacy members.
None
like
of them are
Sim
busy.
Snuka.
Ted DiBiase Jr., I don't know what Cody Rhodes is doing right now, but I'm sure he'd be open to a return.
Yeah. Ted DiBiase. Oh, there's some mad stuff going on with the DiBiase family at the moment as well, brother.
Final question today comes from Glenn with 1E, who says, when AEW eventually establishes the second show, should it avoid Friday and Monday, or try to win over the viewers on those days, because the quality of those shows is seriously declining?
I think it should try and avoid it, yeah. I mean, if it's going to be a show like Dark, it's going to do lower numbers than Dynamite anyway. So I would throw it out there on like a Tuesday night or something. Just a show that doesn't have an existing WWE property on it. I don't think it would do the promotion with their size any good to go head-to-head with a mainline WWE product.
No, certainly not for a secondary show, without question. I think for just keep it as it is now, Tuesday seems good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sooner that happens, the better, because I feel like a lot of people are like, they allude to stuff that happened on Dark, and myself included, are like, yeah, I have no idea what's going on there, so sort all that out. Right, let's move on to today's, and finally, I've been looking forward to this all day, massive shout out to Jonathan Rivera,
legend,
who has made my year, that's all I can say, with this. Ben Roy, roll the footage.
What's up, Adam? Adam Wilburn, that is. Wilburn? I'm not sure, because we say Melbourne. Some people say Melbourne. I guess it depends on the accent. I'm going to say Wilburn. I hope that's right. Adam, I am Peyton Bloody Royce, as I know that you know, and I'm here to let you know that you, my friend, are nothing less than iconic. It's so weird kind of doing that alone in my house without Billy. But Jonathan booked this for you, and I have seen your name. I have seen all your excitement, especially on our return. I saw a little something that you filmed. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your support. It means the absolute world to us. I love your kindness and just seeing your name pop up. I know it's going to be something nice. So thank you so much. And I hope you just stay absolutely iconic.
How good is that? She knows me, Andy!
You are a known person in the iconic territory. Love to see it.
And I'd just like to point out, we did a quiz on how much these cost, these cameos, by the way, on WrestleCulture last week. So I know how much that you've spent on that, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I love the fact as well, I came in today, Andy, was going to use today's and finally to give a massive shout out to my wife. It's my 1 year anniversary today. It's the woman I married, who then insisted we walked into the reception area to Stone Cold's music. But no, bollocks. Peyton Royce is here, so thanks for that, Jonathan. Sorry, love. Maybe next year.
Legend.
It's only 1 year, it's fine. I've got her a card, so.
Absolutely legendary effort here from Johnny Rivs, who informed me very graciously in the middle of the week that he was planning on doing this thing, just in case there was a moment where I'd have to do that, which is very kind of him, and it's very kind to send that in as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts, including the Raw preview and a Get the Table later on today with the Dadley Boys. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Or actually, they can follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for horrible eye stuff.
You can follow me at Adam Wilburn. Wilburn. It makes me so much happy that she did that. As I said, follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to Jonathan. Thanks to Peyton Bloody Royce. And we will see you soon. Cut it!